Geez, you followed me home. Great. That's perfect, actually, because I was just thinking I wanted to talk to you a little bit about scrap collection. So the first part of scrap collection is finding a container. And the truth is, you don't need anything too fancy, too special to do this. A lot of people tend to think you might need something that's really expensive and looks nice on your counter that says compost on it. The truth is, while that's great, you don't need that. So what I do is I keep a little container underneath my sink, and I would recommend you do the same thing. So wherever your food space is, wherever you prepare the majority of your food, keep your container close to that. So it's easy to spot and easy to reach and get to, so that you're not tempted to throw away those scraps. And so I just have this large mason jar. And this is great for me as a household of one or two. I think this is a great size. You can just throw your scraps in there as you go, and then it's got a nice sealing lid on it. I got one of these plastic lids for these, so it seals and it smells, and it's been great. And so I'll fill this up, and then every couple of days I'll take it out back to my larger composting container, which I will show you in just a minute. But the point here is really that, again, you don't need anything fancy. This is just a mason jar. It works great. And the next thing I have, I use these quite a bit too. So this is just a recycled container from a Thai food restaurant for some sort of soup that we got. It was delicious. And we're left with this really nice container that I don't want to throw away. And so these work really well for food scraps. And the nice part about these is they go in the freezer really, really well. And so if you want to fill this up and you're going out of town for a few days or something, and you don't want it to stink up the house, you basically just fill this up, put it in the freezer, everything will freeze, it'll stay separate from your other food in your freezer, and yeah, you take it out and you can just dump it in your larger compost. So this is a perfectly good option. Another thing is literally something as simple as like a Pyrex dish with a nice sealing lid. And so it's got the lid on it to keep the smells out, keep any flies out, things like that. And it's a great container. So again, I just every couple of days I'll take this once it fills up, and I will dump it into my larger container. So I actually have this bucket here. This is one of our actual buckets from the Food to Soil Bucket Swap program. And what I do is I layer in mulch, and I do this because it really helps to keep everything balanced for the time being. So, I live in a small community, and I don't want to bug my neighbors, right? I don't want them to smell my compost and complain about it, and I don't want to smell it myself, to be honest. So we found that if you just layer the bottom inch or two with some nice mulch or leaf mulch, something like that is absorbent, it will catch a lot of those sort of juices that come out of the food as it starts to rot. So I'll put a layer of mulch, I'll put a couple of inches layer of food scraps, and then more mulch, and I'll just layer it that way. And so it actually starts to accelerate the composting process in that time. And so this is a great setup for me. I fill this up every couple of days, I dump it in here, throw some mulch on top, and it sits out back. And then for a family of their household of two, it takes me about a month to fill this guy up. So I don't have to go and do my compost every single day or something if I'm busy and have a life outside of my compost. And so it's just a few minutes to dump that in, and then I'll take this to the garden once it gets full and drop it off there, and we'll process it there. So I hope you learned something good, and stay tuned for the next part. Thanks.